Congressman, federal out-of-office emails are now blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Your message to the American people who just want the government up and running again.
Yeah, the emails and the abuse of official resources to make partisan points is a whole other problem. It's illegal. My Republican friends would be advised to ask themselves whether they want the full resources of the federal government in the service of the Democratic Party when there is next a Democratic president. But that is secondary to the pain that is being caused right now to my constituents, who, if they're trying to sign up for Social Security, they want to get a new passport, if they have plans to visit a national park, if they need to make an adjustment to their Medicare programs, are going to have very real problems. Not to mention, by the way, the fact that we're asking an awful lot of patriotic Americans who keep us safe in airports, who do air traffic control, who do law enforcement, to serve without pay, all because the legislature is utterly failing and the Republican majorities in the House and the Senate and the White House decided that they could do this all on their own and excluded Democrats from what is traditionally a bipartisan deal-making process.
Let me follow up on that, because you're the ranking member of House Intelligence. Many of the workers who will go without pay will be military, members of the military. We've been talking about that, intelligence officers. So are you concerned about national security?
Yeah, of course I am. Again, our military, the professionals in the intelligence community, they're all human beings. And not only did, if they were very senior in the military, them maybe have to fly 25 hours round trip to get to a Secretary of Defense and President of the United States political rally. Now they're being asked to serve without pay. The folks that I oversee in the intelligence community are enormously worried that if they produce an intelligence report that is inconsistent with what Donald Trump is saying on television, that they will be fired, because there is a track record in this administration of doing that. And of course, now you layer in that we're asking an awful lot of people to go home without certainty about when they'll get paid, or asking them to stay on duty without a paycheck. At some point, our very best people say, the hell with this. I'll just go to the private sector, and this country becomes, to answer your question, a lot less safe.
So then why risk national security like this with a shutdown?
Well, that's a great question. Again, we've been through this time and time and time again. In the United States Senate, because there exists a filibuster, you need a bipartisan deal. And the President of the United States, from moment one, said, we're not interested in the Democrats. The American people understand that when you buy a car, when you buy a house, when you lease an apartment, you negotiate, you do a deal. This purported deal maker in the Oval Office thought that he could just keep the government open without doing a deal with Democrats in the Senate, which just doesn't happen. And so we're stuck with a shutdown that is not only, bad for our national security, but which is putting Americans' their health insurance at risk.
All right, so let's talk about yesterday. Vice President J.D. Vance said that it's, Democrats that are starting to crack a little bit now, with 3 Dems already voting for the Republican spending bill. Do you think that more Democrats will flip?
Look, I can't give you a good sense of what the dynamics are in the United States Senate. I don't work there, thank goodness. The issue really is, for most Democrats, that the subsidies, the tax credits that millions of Americans rely on to buy their health insurance, are disappearing at the end of the year. And right now, Americans don't know, as we go into the open enrollment period, whether they're going to be able to afford the health insurance plan that they had last week. And all we're asking, and remember, you have to make a deal with Democrats in the United States Senate, all we're asking is that we can give those millions of Americans some certainty on what they might have to pay for their health insurance. And, J.D. Vance can say what he wants, but his boss and the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate have said, we're not interested in doing that. And so, yeah, maybe you pick off a few senators, but make no mistake about where my party is. We are not going to move forward without some resolution for Americans' health insurance.
Okay, well, let me follow up on that. Republicans say if Democrats agree to reopen the government, then both sides can negotiate on health care later. J.D. Vance also followed up on that at the press briefing a couple days ago. Why not take them up on the offer?
Well, that is the start of a negotiation, right? You might forgive us, though, for being a little skeptical about and perhaps trusting that. This is an administration that has shown time and time again that they're really not interested in living by the law with respect to appropriations. Doesn't matter that Congress has appropriated money for foreign aid or for the Department of Education. They're simply going to cancel it. So we do have a trust deficit, but the statement that you point out there is perhaps the start of a negotiation to reopen the government. But believe me, we are going to need to see signs of good faith from a party and from a president who have been utterly disdainful of Congress's constitutional right to determine how American taxpayer dollars are spent.